I think I show up more authentic, calm, collected, owning several businesses. Being an entrepreneur, you can react, be a bit of reactive. And so just thinking, being more mindful of how I show up impacts other people. I think the people around me have seen a major difference in myself. So the first time I met Yetta, there was a CEO peer advisory annual conference, and she was a guest speaker there, and she was talking about thoughts, feelings, and actions, and subconscious. And I thought it was kind of strange because 20 years prior, I read a lot of books around that with like, Think and Grow Rich and things like that, and having her talk that way, I was like, wow, that's really unique and different. Yeah, I remember the first time I worked with Yetta, her first observation of me, I was meeting with my leadership team in a conference room. I was sitting off in the corner of the conference room, and I clearly was not in a good mental state and not in charge, and it was very reactive. I think today people see me as someone who leads, is in charge. I'm confident. I feel good about myself. Yeah, I think I look back when I first started working with her and where I am today, and Yet has really impacted me, helping me think differently, how I show up, how I think about things. Some of the things, there's a circumstance, how I think about that and how I feel about that. I think Yetta's approach to coaching and consulting is helping the individual, having the tools to think differently, act differently, working through really the limiting beliefs that I had for 49 years. I'm 49 years old, and kind of unlearning a lot of those things. The one lesson that she's really taught me was kind of a hard pill to swallow. We are a mirror of our environment. So if there's an environment we're not happy with, we've created it. And like, how is that possible? I didn't do this or that. But if you think about the unintended consequences of our actions and our thoughts, we've created the situation. So that was a big takeaway for me. And having other people understand, if you want to change your environment, you have to change yourself first. A lot of times people are always doing and trying to get things done, and taking a step back and being thoughtful and taking time to listen to themselves and get off I call it the hamster wheel, the rat race of the world, and just get in alignment with themselves. I think that's what it's really all about, and saying, why am I here and what am I here to accomplish in this world? I think probably my shut up and sit moment, I've had many. The one that is probably the most impactful for me, I was in Utah on a business trip, and I wanted to take a day for myself, and I drove up to the mountains, headed to Mirror Lake, which is the middle of nowhere. And I stopped off on the side of the road. There was this big cliff. I sat at and was just meditating, just taking it in, seeing the mountain views and everything, and then closing my eyes and just listening. And I listened to nothing. It was the most amazing thing. All I could hear is the occasional moose, but just the act of just have a crystal clear mind, and then having clarity about who I am and what I'm about, and just getting in line with myself it was just a reminder, just having those times just to get away and think and sit and not be around other people doing acting and all the noise. The one thing that Yetta shared with me that is meant the most to me is we are a mirror of our environment. And I mentioned that previously. I think that's just so important. If we want to have a different situation or environment, we can change that through our thoughts. I think that's probably the most impactful thing for me and it sounds kind of esoteric, but if we just change our thoughts around something, we can have more different. I think that's been the biggest thing, is just hearing that message over and over again. So the old approach to Eric would be a stimulus and a response. The new approach is thinking about how my thoughts and feelings and actions are going to affect the outcome. So if I show up negatively around my staff are going to be negative. If I show up positive, they're more likely to be positive. I think emotional intelligence means to me is just being aware of what's really happening, and not just reacting to it, just being aware, taking a moment to take a step back and think what's really happening here, what's the situation before reacting, and understanding what were all the factors that are creating the situation or the circumstance. It's interesting is I've been with Yetta 5 years, and I've seen her growth and evolution as a person, and Yetta has really gone to the end of the earth, literally to the end of the earth, in her journey of what she loves to do. And that's been a great example for me to watch her go through that growth. And it's also given me the confidence and ability to have those situations in life where you think this is insane, this is crazy environment and situation, and saying stop. And that's her journey. She just said, stop. This doesn't make any sense anymore. And say, how can we get in touch with ourselves? And watching her go through that process has been a great example for me to say, stop, does not make sense. So she's been a great example for me. I go back to the time prior to Yetta coaching me and thinking about how everything just really upset me, and then how I was really stressful to be around, and always frustrated. And then today, wow, today I'm at peace. What would have caused me major stress and reaction doesn't really bother me anymore. And just take a step back. It's truly freedom. My life, my wife, my kids. I'm much more present for them and my employees, and I'm happier as a person. Totally different. I think I would say, from everything I've learned, and say to other people, get off their hamster wheel, stop doing everything, and start listening. Really, just take a moment, stop, and listen to yourself.